we saw people dying that could have been saved if we could only use this research, and actually applied it and been able to use it. That this is what the doctor ordered for Bahamas.
Focus this Monday, September 9th at 8:30 p.m. only on ZNS TV 13.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shasheena Rolle. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Tension appears to be rising between the Ministry of Education and the Bahamas Union of Teachers. Parties reached an impasse after the ministry failed to relocate the principal of the Maurice Moore Primary School, whom the union feels isn't good for education. But the ministry is standing firm and says the principal will not be moved. But tonight there has been some movement. A few teachers have been transferred, and just today an expatriate teacher was terminated. But officials are outraged. Area Vice President of the BUT, Quentin LaRota, says it was late Tuesday afternoon when 3 teachers were transferred from Maurice Moore Primary School.
Letters of transfers have also been given to teachers at other schools to switch with those teachers. And so we see now that the victimization that I described in my earlier comments has come to fruition even plainer. But the union has filed a trade dispute. During a trade dispute, it's required that the status quo remain the same, but we don't take industrial action until the Department of Labor has a conciliatory hearing. And so we await that hearing and see the outcome before we decide to take the next step.
But he is of the view that these teachers were transferred as a result of the ongoing saga and agitation for the current principal to be removed from the learning institution. He believes that these particular teachers were transferred because they did not approve of the school's leader.
Not only I believe it, they believe it, and the rest of the staff believe it too, which is also, and they transfer teachers at a time when they need a teacher because they have to ask an administrator today to sit with a class because the teacher is not there and have some challenges.
For over 2 years, he says teachers have lodged complaints on the management style of the principal and the academic direction of the school.
And you have a staff who is saying, we've been hindered from performing at the very best, and this staff is accustomed to performing very well. Their results have been the best over the past few years. Then that brings cause for concern. The union got involved heavily last school year, and for months, the president tried to have a meeting with the principal to discuss these issues. The principal ignored it, didn't make herself available.
But he says after meeting with ministry officials, the union and teachers were of the view for the new school term, they would have met a change in leadership or at least a change in attitude.
If a new direction was sought and the minister could not go along with that anymore, the proper way would be to contact the union, contact the president and say, look here, I'm the Minister of Education. This is what we see, this is what we want to do. How can this matter be resolved? Instead, the teachers received belligerent remarks and belligerent comments. The minister came to Grand Bahama. No consultation with teachers. No consultation with parents.
But he says over the past 4 years, the union has had very few challenges on Grand Bahama.
And we've been able to work out a host of issues between myself and Mr. Dean and Ms. Edgecombe and Ms. Cooper and Ms. Kemp. Issues that were, very tense, issues that were grave. We were able to solve them and work them out amongst ourselves in the best interest of education. So when you have people from the capital superimposing, without being properly informed, their views on the situation, it creates even more frustration.
Well, tonight the Director of Education, Lionel Sands, is responding to those charges. He confirms that 2 teachers were transferred and another terminated.
Those teachers requested of the Deputy Director of Education and the District Superintendent for the district to be transferred to other schools because they felt they could not continue to work with the current principal. ended the contract of one of the contract teachers at that school to employ a Bahamian teacher. And in every primary school where there is a renewal of contract for primary school teachers that's up for consideration, we will not renew those contracts until we've had an opportunity to fill the vacancies with Bahamian teachers. That's just the ministry's policy that has been so for the last 4 years.
Now, SANS is refuting any suggestion that the move taken by the ministry is an act of victimization.
It is wrong to call it victimization, in my estimation, because this year we've done so to some more than 16 contract teachers at the primary school level, where we did not renew their contract that was up for consideration, because we had to replace them with Bahamian teachers who graduated recently from the College of the Bahamas. The timing may be considered suspicious for those who think that it's suspicious. The point I'm making is, when the contract is up for renewal, and that contract is up for renewal now, the truth of the matter is, until the contract has been considered and the Public Service Commission has given the approval to it, the teacher shouldn't even be in school. Because once the contract is up, the teacher's out of the school until the contract is reconsidered. And so the point I'm making is, all those teachers whose contracts are being reconsidered should not necessarily be in the school until they would have received confirmation from the Public Service Commission that their contract has been renewed.
Now, the Education Director says the Ministry of Education stands squarely behind the principal of Maurice Moore and calls for her principal will not be entertained at this time. The battle over ownership of a prime beachfront property in the Taino Beach area has taken a new turn. Several Bahamian families are taking on the Grand Bahama Port Authority over the issue of ownership. But despite the claims today, the Grand Bahama Port Authority began clearing the land for a major touristic development earmarked for the property. Sabrina Brown has the update.
Just hours after a group of Bahamians went public claiming ownership of a tract of land near the old Stone Crab restaurant on Taino Beach, the Grand Bahama Port Authority sprung into action and started to clear the 200-plus acres of beachfront property earmarked for a water park. A team of police officers were present as a bulldozer carried out the work. The residents claim that the port acquired the prime land through the Smiths Point relocation program back in the 1960s, when homeowners were reportedly forced to move. Descendants of Henry Nesbitt say they are the rightful owners to a portion of the land, and they're not letting up.
Whatever is necessary for us to do to stop it, we're going to stop it. Fortune Key was the first. This is the second, and we're going to continue because there's more properties that we have to expose the port.
Cedric Hepburn is the grandson of Henry Nesbitt. He and another family member watched quietly as the land was cleared. He says this is not the only property the family is battling over with the port. According to Hepburn, they were never given an opportunity to discuss the Smiths Point land issue with principals at the port.
I remember talking to Ian with Fortune Key situation, and like he said with Fortune Key, his hands are tied, there's nothing he can do. So I assume it's the same thing here. So I don't remember him at any time telling me to bring my papers in.
He says he's disheartened by the situation, and he believes Bahamians are being taken for granted.
What I like for the port to do is look at the people first instead of worrying about the investors. The people here in Freeport is catching hell. They're not worrying about us. They're worrying about the investors, which I think is wrong.
The Grand Bahama Port Authority has issued a statement on the matter, saying despite the claims, the Grand Bahama Development Company Limited DevCo is the legal and beneficial owner of the land earmarked for the proposed water park near Taino Beach. Port officials say they are satisfied that DevCo has proper title, which is recorded in the Bahamas Registry of Records. Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
In other news, Bimini's World Resort is becoming a major player in the tourism industry. The resort is preparing for expansion and is currently in search of additional employees. Officials brought the recruitment drive to Grand Bahama yesterday. Megan Shepard has this story.
More than 300 persons turned out to the resort's World Bimini Job Fair Wednesday afternoon in hopes of securing employment at the resort. Human Resources Manager Christopher Rolle says the objective is to hire persons to fill positions immediately, as well as scout workers for future positions.
Our efforts are to staff up and to create a job pool, or career pool for the very near future, for the end of the year, for the additional rooms that are coming on at the resort. We are recruiting for current openings presently as well. We're definitely focused on casino jobs, persons with casino experiences, dealers, cashiers. We're focused on all of those areas of business acumen, and we also focus on jobs that will be in the resort directly.
According to Rolle, positions are available in all areas of the resort, including their newly opened casino. Rolle says, as expected, the casino is attracting more guests.
Casino has been doing well. Last week was Labor Day weekend for us, which was really good in terms of our business. In terms of Labor Day is normally a very large weekend for us, and we've definitely seen a lot of traffic throughout the casino, in our food and beverage outlets, and in the casino as well. So we're definitely onto a road of success, as expected.
Now, Rolle says Resorts World is attracting guests from around the world, and the entire island of Bimini is benefiting.
Resort numbers definitely are increasing. Be mindful that we do have Superfast boat that's coming in, cruise ship that's coming in from Miami, so we see an increase of guests every day. Just as a typical example, the taxi cab drivers in Bimini are now, they can hardly take care of the locals in terms of the needs for movement, because of the resort guests that are coming through the resort and through the Superfast are in demand and needing to go into town, needing to go throughout the island. So we definitely have been seeing an increase in numbers since we've opened.
Rolle has dubbed the job fair a success and says he is excited that the resort is providing employment opportunities for residents on Grand Bahama. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us, there's more news right after this.